This is a different flavor of video from what I'm used to making, but I really wanted to try it, so wish me luck and enjoy. This is a game that I played a few days ago known as The Coffin of Andy and Leyley. You've probably heard of it by now, for all the attention that's picked up recently. For some background, this is an RPGmaker indie horror game that goes for $10 on Steam, and was developed by somebody called Leyley, and in the store it goes under the name Kit9 now, for some reasons I'll get to later. I've seen this game everywhere recently, on Reddit, YouTube, and basically it's gotten a lot of traction, you probably know. And most of this comes from the fact that the story is, unique, to say the least. You probably already know what the main deal is, but if you haven't played it, I'm here to help get you to play it. I defend this game with all of my heart! Yeah! Out of sheer passion for not only horror, but RPGmaker games, and it's the engine, I'm here to analyze the game a bit, just a tad, and give my thoughts, and expose internet degenerates. Hopefully get you to play it, and I want both you and I to have fun. So all I ask is you spare some minutes, and we shall go. A note that I want to begin with is this game's title screen. I genuinely want to make this a topic on an entirely separate video, the importance of title screens in games. Now, some people have already done that, however, they're either a few years old or they don't cover certain games that I am personally thinking of. Most RPGmaker game titles follow a similar structure. It's simple, usually just a wall art like a wallpaper with menu options, but they can still be super effective thanks to a charming art style, or more importantly, their music. I really can't overstate this game's soundtrack. We'll do more later, but gosh, this theme is just perfect. Hearing this jazzy track with the cutesy sounds right after reading this is a game about cannibalism and murder on the Steam page, and they look like this, it just hits kind of different. Like, this game is really about to let you play as some really twisted people. Also, big shout out and thanks to Killer, who uploaded all the OST to YouTube. Just big preach, man, I've been listening to all of it. And to Elegante for making it into a playlist. Subscribe to this guy, man. This theme is called Twisted Clowns, and I see the two as twisted jesters. People who only serve as a laughingstock until they get their moment to laugh at the world instead. Plus the fact that they crack jokes and act all nonchalant throughout the game. Very dark. Upon actually beginning the game, it plays a brief flashback with two children ominously contemplating some strange plan, and then a young woman awakes. This is Ashley, our very fair protagonist, although another character gets about as much time as her. Some messages pop up of what seem to be her inner thoughts, but the writing for these throughout the game is in a very enthusiastic and sarcastic tone. Actually, a lot of the game is written like this. It's likely there for comedic effect, but I also like to imagine it as how Ashley interprets the world around her. Like, she thinks everyone else is inferior to her and trying to get her. This also slightly applies to her brother. It's also like those inner thoughts you have, but just the goofy ones that you don't really want to speak aloud. The place is disheveled as frick.
You live like this?
The whole goal for today is to find food, and there's almost nothing. There's unpaid bills, no food, and jack squat. Except for a can of tomatoes that we find in the garbage. We head to our room excited to find our brother. This green-eyed guy's name is Andrew, 22 years old, making him just a bit older than Ashley. Both young adults. He doesn't seem very amused by the tomato can, despite the implication that neither of them has had food in God knows how long. He reveals that he hid the can there, and this is our first demonstration of their sibling dynamic. Like many real-life ones, they fight and argue a lot, and generally distaste for each other on day-to-day, but on the inside, they're there for each other all the way through. Even through the worst, they're both there to comfort each other and help each other get through it all. However, as the game keeps going forward in its story, these values become twisted into something much darker. By this point now, I was well intrigued by the game. It's hard to say exactly why this happens to me with RPGmaker games. There's something about them that I just can't get away from. This video is both a review and a way for me to fangirl over this genre of gaming. Why did I sound like a robot there? My absolute favorite kind of games are the story-driven ones. The ones that you can play and get completely, 100% engrossed in. It's almost like an out-of-body experience. I can't really explain why this happens to me so much with this engine, but it's like I can feel the passion and soul of the dev who crafted it. The graphics and storytelling that can still be divine even without crazy graphics and production quality. There is, seriously, so much creativity out there that these games possess. I can feel the passion with every fiber of my being. And please, I want you to comment below if you feel the same thing. Anyways, I know this got pretty sappy, so let's go back to the game. Back to where I was with talking about how their dynamic becomes twisted, and that scene with the body. After their neighbor dies, they investigate, and of course Ashley doesn't seem to care at all for him. She brings up the idea of eating his limbs almost immediately, seeing as both of them are starving. Andrew is of course reluctant, but Ashley begins to pressure him. Now, something that some people like to say about this game is that Ashley is worse than Andrew, for the reason like that she pressures or manipulates him. While I do agree, I still feel like Andrew is nearly as bad. His personality just leans more towards hiding it than Ashley's form of showing it so quickly, i.e. immediately wanting to devour her neighbor. Throughout the rest of the game, this pattern continues, and they end up getting themselves into some deep stuff. I'm not going to detail because, one, you can watch somebody else for that, but more importantly, I want you to play it yourself, or at least experience the story. If you still need more convincing, then I urge you to finish the video. Anyway, my personal theory on these two is that Andrew is a sociopath, whereas Ashley is a psychopath. Everybody's heard of psychopaths, but there is a secondary classification called sociopaths. Whereas a psychopath completely fakes their emotions and manipulates people, a sociopath still feels some sort of guilt or regret, or empathy as shown. I have heard people consider both of them sociopaths, which I can see, but I just see Ashley emitting so many more qualities of a psycho instead. For one, she's far more manipulative, and while Andrew seems to feel some sort of remorse for victims at first or later, Ashley demonstrates that never, not even once. The way I remember the difference is that a sociopath is, socio, they still have some social qualities in their soul. Despite that, though, I do still feel that Ashley cares for Andrew, at least slightly. While that does go against the qualities of a psychopath, I just believe that she still has enough traits of one for it to count. But who knows, there are only 2 chapters released and 4 are planned, so we'll see what she truly means someday, which I'm pretty excited for. I know I shouldn't just keep complimenting this game over and over, but I just can't help myself. Another thing I loved about the game is a lot of the times they'll do this style where it just contains all the visuals in some small box in the center of the screen, and still has the dialogue in the bottom. This really makes it feel like a play. That too, plus the, paper texture on the characters when they're talking. It just feels like a play. it really added to the experience. I also want to give huge props to the dev for another good thing is all of the various character portraits while they're talking. They change constantly, depending on what they're saying. There's an idea in theater where audiences get bored fast. They have we just as humans have an aversion to getting bored. So there should always be something going on screen, and this is a great way to remedy that. I know this part is called analysis, but I'm really not gonna go any further. For the same reason, I just want you to play it, or experience it. But I still have one more closing section that I think is really important. Like all good things, there's always going to be somebody to complain about it. It sucks, but it's just the modern truth. I pointed out this game got a lot of traction, but not all of that is good. You may be aware, but if you're not, during this game, a certain type of relationship is implied between the siblings, and Twitter, as well as many other platforms, hated hearing about this. Also, I want to add that committing to that is optional and a choice by the player. Let me be clear, it's a minority, seeing as the game has overwhelmingly positive reviews, but still. The biggest point that the haters make against this game is that it portrays incest in a positive light, like it's a good thing. But as somebody who has played and finished this game in its current state, 2 chapters, I can say it's completely untrue. First of all, it's just insanity, seeing as much worse things happen, such as murder, cannibalism, corruption, are all themes that happen way more in the game. I don't understand how people can just see a bad subject matter in media and assume it's endorsing it. I don't even think those people played the game. Their relationship is so incredibly toxic and awful, no rational human being should see it and want it or think it's trying to be real. And that game I mentioned earlier, Fear and Hunger, has so many worse themes in it. It's so disgusting it adds to the horror. That game isn't just horror, it's horrific. Andy and Leyley is not as crazy, but it still uses the uncomfortable elements to build a unique story. How is that hard to comprehend? I love to stay positive on this channel, but I was just infuriated when I found out the developer had doxing attempts against them. That's how no-life some people are. They'll spend hours of their time just to violate privacy in this extreme way, and is a felony, but that's why the OG dev no longer puts themselves online, and instead Kit9 is the studio/person, whatever they are, who appears publicly. Luckily though, the story is still being developed by the OG, so it's very nice. Very good to know that the drama has not disturbed the creation of a passion project, because that's what it is. Nemle, if you're by any chance seeing this, I loved playing your game to death so much that I wanted to make my first big review on it. And I hope you see it to completion. Please, stand up against the dirty internet, because these types of things just warm the hearts of so many, including myself. Alright, I just added this to my script. My friend sent me this post, and then he pointed out that the caption said, "The coffin of cannibalism and internet discourse." Andrew and Ashley's casket. Overall, this game was an absolute treat. I want to tell you, I streamed this game to some friends of mine on the night that I played it, and I urge you to try this as well. It is the best possible night in the world when you get to stream an RPGmaker story or any visual novel to the squad and laugh and cry at the stories they present.
My servers. Make it normal again.
But this is actually helping me focus too. I don't know, guys. This is kind of.
It's not supposed to help you focus. It's supposed to provide something to distract you while you're listening to Reddit. So please get rid of something.
Well, I'm gonna finish the text first.
Please continue playing the game and do not stop for me. I do not want to be part of this.
Sees a little girl.
I mean, still.
Also, there's an Among Us in the back.
Holy
Kill yourself.
I know I'm being dramatic, but just trust me. I have done it a lot. You can even get goofy and have each friend voice act their own character. Now that is a night that you won't ever forget. Seriously. Thank you so much for watching. There's other stuff I wanted to mention, like more tracks from the game, and their names, and how cool they are, but, you know, that's all semantics. This is my first time doing a vid like this, so please let me know how it went, what could be better. I know a lot of things I could do better. I recorded about 100 clips of dialogue that I strewed together.
Oh my goodness!
Don't do that. Do it, but you can do it a bit more. But it's now December. Happy holidays, and let's relax tonight while we take in that cool breeze.